So today we'll be just looking onto this iPhone 16e, which is a newer budget iPhone, you can say, from the Apple itself, the successor to the iPhone SE. And we'll be just looking in depth like how this phone actually feels like and whether it's worth it in 2025 because it has just one camera. And we just dive into like more things about this device itself to just have a first look and a review for this device itself. So I've just unboxed this device in my last video, and I would like to now go ahead and just let you know, guys, like what I feel for the initial impression about this device itself. And I've just set up this device, and if you're just looking forward for the setup video, so you can just watch my another video as well for the iPhone initial setup. So before I dive into the device itself, I would like to discuss the specs on this phone itself. So the dimension wise, it is like around 146.7 by 71.5 by 7.8 millimeter in thickness. The weight of this device is around 167 grams, and it has the glass front and the glass back, and it has the what you call the aluminum frame on the sides. So Apple claims like this time they have used the ceramic shield glass, so hopefully this will just last long, and it depends upon like how much this one just sustain to scratches in the long term. If you talk about the dust resistance, it has IP68 dust, tide, and water resistance, and it is immersible up to 6 meters for 30 minutes, this one. And regarding the display, you're just getting over here around 6.1 inches of display. It is the Super Retina HDR OLED panel. So it is an OLED, it's not the LCD. And it is the HDR10, and it can go up to 1200 nits of peak brightness, which is kind of a decent, I would just say, in terms of the brightness level. And if you talk about the screen to body ratio, so this one have like 87.1% screen to body ratio. I would like to say like the bezels on this one are quite thick considering the price point at which this one is coming. Like it's around $900 the starting price here in Canada. And if you just compare, so this just falls towards a little bit towards a flagship device. Like it's a little bit expensive for a mid-tier device, I would just say, because if you compare the same device in the Android, so you might get like with $100 more, you can get S25 with the greatest specs. You can just like that has the Snapdragon 8 chip, and the screen on this one like it's just okay. I'm not inclining so much. Like in 2025 at this price point, you're getting such a huge bezels, I would just say, at this price point. Yeah, I'm not liking like this one with such a big notch in between. Like this used to be coming on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this notch I think, and the 13, and after the 14 they have just made the island, which is already like quite big, and then there comes this one. So obviously this is a little bit cumbersome, I would just say, at this price point. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, so if we talk about the resolution over here, so you're just getting 1170 by 2532 pixels, which is 19.5:9 aspect ratio with 457 of PPI density. And one more thing I would like to just mention, like the iPhone 16 Pro is around like 460 PPI, that one, and the Pro Max also. So you won't find resolution wise much difference. Like there's a 3 PPI decline on this one that you get from the iPhone 16 Pros. And the good thing is that the chip on this is pretty great. This is the Apple A18 new chip. I thought that Apple might be using an older chip on this one, but yeah, obviously at this point it makes sense to have a great chip on this one. So the cores on this chip is around hexa-core, which is like a 2 performance cores and the 4 efficiency cores. And it has the Apple GPU with 4 core graphics, I would just say. If you compare it with the 16 regular 16s, so that has the 5 core graphics. We have to just test it out. So I will be just testing on this device itself regarding the gaming and everything. And we'll see like how this one performed in terms of the difference in the performance between the 16 and this one. So regarding the memory option, so you're just getting 128 GB with 8 gigs of RAM, and it goes all the way up to 512 gigs with 8 GB of RAM, and it's an NVMe. Now let's talk about the camera itself on the back itself. So it's around 48 megapixel camera, which once I researched about it, so I saw this one to be a compromised camera setup, I would just say, at this price point. And it's a new sensor which is like weaker than all other 48 megapixels according to my research. So it's a new sensor that Apple have put in this one, and this is not in like before I was like thinking it might be from some other device, maybe the iPhone 14 Pro, or maybe it's some of the 48 megapixel that we get to see on the iPhone 16, but this is completely new sensor that Apple has used in this one. And on top of that, you're just getting around dual LED flash over here, and you have the spatial audio in this one. And the thing is that like this camera can record only 4K up to 60 FPS. So I've tried the quality of this camera, and I was just comparing with the 16 Pro, and it's not that great camera at this price point, I would just say, to be honest. Like now if we talk about the front, so we get the notch, the typical notch that Apple used to give, and it's very similar to what you get to see on the regular 13s or maybe regular 12s. iPhone 12s. So it's kind of a old notch. Like, I'm not sure why Apple haven't given the island on this one. Could have been, but either way, like, I don't prefer any of those, like, because these are so big, like they take chunk of the screen. So yeah, so that has the Face ID and all those technology for the Face ID in this notch, and we get to see the 12 megapixel wide camera, which can record 4K up to 60 FPS, and it supports obviously the HDR, Dolby Vision HDR, and 3D spatial audio. And the stereo sound recording can be done on this one. Now the thing is that, like, this camera I've just searched, and this is the same sensor you get to see on the regular iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus. So you'll be just getting decent results out of it regarding if you're just fan of a selfie. But the thing doesn't end over there. So it has obviously the dual speakers. I've tested the speakers on this one. These are like pretty decent speakers, I would say. I mean, these are kind of you'll get that depth from these speakers. And if we talk about the battery over here, so you're just getting around 4005 mAh of battery over here. And the wired charging, like Apple claims, it can charge 50% in 30 minutes. We have yet to try this one. So the colors you're just getting over here are the black and white, and that's all that are the specs on this phone. Now we just talk about the design aspects of this phone as well. So let's talk about the design. So design on this phone, like I really like the design. The simplicity of this design is pretty nice, like especially in this white color. I'm liking this device so much. And the single camera, obviously, it's like in 2025, it doesn't make sense at this price point, but nevertheless, like it looks overall like so elegant with just one lens. But obviously, practically wise, I've tried the to take the portrait shot on this one, and this looks like pretty kind of a average at this price point. The camera on the main sensor, if you're not zooming or anything, then it's just kind of a fine. But if you're just zooming in, so it just deteriorates because there's no kind of a 3 times or optical zoom in this one. That's why just doing that all digitally, so that ruins the pixel, and you might feel pixelation on the camera itself. So the camera is not that great, I would just say, on this device. You are just getting an average camera in 2025 at this price point. If you come onto the size, so there's no camera button over here, it's missing from over here, and you're just getting one power button. You're getting 2 antenna bands on the left. If we come onto the top, so we get to see over here just 1 antenna bands, no noise cancellation mics. On the left, you get to see over here 1 action button, power up and down, volume up and down, and then we have 1 SIM card tray with 2 antenna bands on each side. If we come on the bottom side, so we get mic, we get 1 antenna band, we get the typical Type-C charging port, and 1 speaker. So speaker on this one, as already mentioned, are pretty nice, not that bad, I would just say. Now the single lens, I would just say why Apple has just chosen with a single lens. I would say, like, at this price point, it doesn't make sense. Probably like Apple is just trying to differentiate in between the devices and following the iPhone SE. So the thing is that if you see iPhone 16 Pro, that has 3 cameras, iPhone 16 have 2, and this has just 1 camera. However, the price point at which this one is being sold, I would just say, like, it's not that great. Like, you can just simply get the S25 or maybe if you just pay $100 more, you might want to just get the regular 16. I would just say would be much better choice than this one, because the single camera, like, obviously it just ruins the experience of the device itself. So by paying $100 more, you're just getting better phone with respect to the camera as well. However, I would just still not agree that even the 2 cameras are enough at that price point. Like, there has to be at least 3 triple camera setup that we can see for more versatility at this price point, because these devices are quite expensive. This is not a cheap device, I would just say. And if we see other leaders or the drivers in the market, so most of the devices are coming around with at least 3 triple lens setup to have a more versatility. So that's the weakest point, I would just say, of this device. Like, the single weakest point of this device is the camera setup on this one is pretty average, and it doesn't make sense at this price point. I just keep repeating the same thing because I really find disappointed with this camera, like, after using this one. We talk about the screen itself. So the screen is kind of decent. Software wise, you're just getting over here iOS 18.3.1, which is the latest version of the iOS currently. But I really didn't like the software on the Apple, because if you compare, so there's no multitasking ability on these devices. So you have to just use it as a regular phone. Obviously, if you're just logged into the Apple ecosystem, so even then I would just won't recommend at least the iPhone 16e. You might want to just go ahead and just get the iPhone 16. Like if I would be the person, I would definitely go for the iPhone 15 Pro at this price point. You can easily get the iPhone 15 Pro in a decent condition, or maybe they are like a good deals or from your carriers if you can get. So that would be my choice. I wouldn't opt for this device. Even for the 16 have like nice colors, so you might want to just go ahead and just for that purpose you might get that one. But the iPhone 16e, like for myself, I wouldn't get because of the it doesn't make sense at this price point, honestly. The screen you're just getting at this price point 60 hertz. I'm not sure why Apple is cutting so much corners. The brightness on this one like is full. I find this one kind of okay, but you might struggle a little bit in a direct sunlight condition, but it won't be that much bad. But if you see the scrolling, so you can just see it doesn't feel very smooth. Like a 60 hertz display will just ruin your user experience completely. Like if you open the apps over here, you can see the animations on this one feel so, I'm not sure if you can notice that one on the camera, but it's not smooth at all. Like I would just like to mention, like it's just not that fun to use this device. Once you're just scrolling in between, you just notice especially like once you're coming from the 120 hertz display, once you see the competitors what they're doing, like at least Apple should have introduced 120 hertz display. Like for all of their devices, they have to just streamline those things, because that's kind of a basic you're just getting at this price point, which is like a 120 hertz of display. So in that point, like you can just it just ruins your experience. And the software wise, obviously it's like a great software. iOS 18.3.1 you're getting is the best from the Apple. However, if you're so much into multitasking, so I'm not sure how you would just make use out of this software. Gaming wise, it should be fine. We'll be doing the gaming test on this one. We'll just go ahead and just check out the sound quality on this device itself. Assist to some, so these are some kind of where you can just have the summary of your from your what you call the web page. You can just summarize the whole page, so this works like that. Then there's like kind of interpreter over here, so you can just use this one to just interpret if you're just one-on-one calling with other person. So you can use this one to just talk to other person. So you can just tap to talk. There's a couple of options you can just do, and you can just tap to talk over here, so it will just translate. So one thing I would like to mention, like the speakers are pretty great on this device. You can just compete. It can just compete with any sort of flagship device in that regard. And I would just appreciate that when that Apple have used such a great speaker on this device. Like it can compete like any flagship device that I can vouch on. Like these, you can get the pretty good depth on this device. We'll be just doing a detailed test of this device as well in the future videos. However, I'm not liking the island on this one, and like you can see, like there is no camera button over here. I'm not sure what just made Apple not to use the camera button at this price point. Like it's just $100 or you can say $150 cheaper than what the Apple iPhone 16 is. So that's the only difference. You can just get the camera, and this one at $150 you will get a much more better experience if you just go ahead and just get the iPhone regular iPhone 16 rather than this device itself. But the screen on that one is also like 60 hertz, so I wouldn't choose that one at that price point as well. I would definitely go for the maybe Android device. Now the question arises, like obviously if it's your choice, you guys have to make the choice between what you get. But I would just want to give my opinion, like if we talk about this device at this price point, so you have a great options that you can get by spending a little bit more. So I think it's the reason like the Apple have priced it between it's not even a mid-tier device. Apple have priced it somewhere between like a mid-tier device to like a flagship device, to just differentiate from like other devices, I would just say. So the iPhone 16 Pro is like it's still like a budget phone from the Apple, like the cheapest you can get, but Apple have just priced it in a way that it's just in the middle of the flagship and the mid-tier devices. So it's somewhere lies between those, and you can see like even the mid-tier devices from other like Samsung, you can say A55, that's much more better than this one. If you go towards the flagship device, so that you can go ahead and just get the S25 by spending a little bit more. So if you want to just get a flagship, you can just spend a little bit more, and you can just move towards the S25 on the Android side. And if you're just looking for the iPhone, or if you're an iPhone person, so you might want to just get the iPhone 16 by spending a little bit more. So that's how the Apple have priced this one. Like it's quite a marketing technique, I would just say. But nevertheless, like at this price point, I would definitely not going to choose this device itself. Like that's my personal opinion. That's subjective. Like the design wise, this device is very, very nice and sleek, I would just say. I like really beautiful this color. It's really beautiful, this white color. It's very, very similar you can get on the iPhone 16 Pros as well. This, like I really like the feel of the phone itself. It's very good to hold in the hands. It's a very light phone. Easy reachability to at the end of the screen. I have really small hands. If you have a big hand, so it will be easy for you guys, but it's very easy to hold kind of device, like very, very comfortable to hold. Like all buttons are at your thumb reach. You can see like all buttons are reachable from your finger very easily, and I have like a very small hands as I again mentioned. And you can see like the curve on the sides, like the rounded corners are holding up pretty well in terms while you're just holding. They're not digging I think it's very comfortable device to hold in the hand. The feel on the back is very rough, kind of like a smooth rough, which just adds to the how you hold the device. It gives you a grip. There's no way you can just make this device slip out of your hand, even if you're just not having a case on it. And we have to just see like how this device holds up in terms of the front screen scratches. So yeah, so that's all for today. If you guys have any questions, you can just let me know down in the comments, and please like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching again. Have a good day. Bye.